everybody. I'm Corey.
And I'm Chelsea.
And this is Bestie Talks, where we talk about whatever's kind of on our mind, really. So, I guess just jumping right into it,
Mm.
we watched movies this week. So, I guess we're going to kind of be talking about that.
Not just movies, TV shows
Yeah,
too.
just things, yeah. So, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Um, let's why don't we do the one that we both watched to start?
Yeah, you watched A Whisker Away, and then you told me to watch it,
Mm-hmm.
and I finally did. And I have a lot of thoughts on it.
Let's hear those thoughts because they might mirror my own.
I feel like they're not going to be good. I feel like a lot of people, well, I'll say this, on my Facebook, a lot of people on my feed were talking about this movie and how good it was and how much they cried and how much they
Mm-mm,
loved it and
mm-mm,
like everybody needs to watch it right now. So I was like, okay,
mm-mm.
this is going to be real good. So let me just tell you some of my notes.
All right, let's hear them.
So what happened was I was watching this movie and about halfway through I realized, you know what? I need to be writing notes about this so I can actually talk about it. So I kind of went back and here are some of the notes I took. Lesbian best friend? Question mark. Because her
Right.
friend was a little obsessed with her, just saying. I get back to her later. I write a lot about her best friend.
Okay.
I have a note. What is it with anime and anime movies where they have middle school students confessing their love and wanting
Or
to
not
be together
even
forever?
not even middle school students too, because fucking Ponyo.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was just kind of a note because I was thinking about this movie and how similar it is to Whispers of the Heart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they're middle schoolers, and I know in Japan the school system's a little different, but they're still like getting ready to do their high school exams kind of thing. And they're out there confessing their love, being like, I want to be with you forever and stuff. And I'm just like, are middle schoolers like that? Because when I was in middle school, I wasn't even remotely thinking about boys or anything like that.
Middle school is so awkward.
If it was high school, it'd still be annoying, but I'd be like, okay, whatever, they're high schoolers. But like middle schoolers, like these are like kids. So I don't know. I wrote a little note about that because that's such a common trope. It's kind of getting to the point where I'm just like sick of it. I'm just like, I don't care about your stupid middle school drama in your life. Like you guys are not going to be together in like a month, okay? Get
I
over
really hate
yourselves.
the relationship aspect of the whole movie. It drove me
Yeah,
insane.
I definitely write about that a lot because this whole movie was her obsession with this boy. Okay, I'll just keep reading my notes and then we can talk about it. But my next note was this is like some weird fan fiction where Mikuru from Haruhi Suzumiya hooks up with Koizumi from Haruhi Suzumiya because of the voice actors. So that's like all I was thinking about. My next note is somebody better die in this movie. Because everybody was saying how sad it was, and I was like, is this boy gonna get cancer and die or something dramatic has to happen, right? My next note was what's up with the tabby, because there was that like brown tabby that would randomly pop up but like
Mhm.
nothing happened with it. Absolutely no. There was one part where I was like, because when she saw the cat wearing her face and everything, I was like, "Oh, it's the tabby, right? That would make sense. We've seen this tabby a bunch. She like randomly hates this tabby. The tabby has been in random scenes in the background. No, it wasn't the tabby."
Mhm.
And then at the end, like the tabby was kind of there around when she was talking to her mom, and I was like, "Is the tabby the mom?" But it's not. So I was just like, "What is up with this stupid tabby that just keeps popping up everywhere?"
So I do want to touch on that a little bit real quick
Yeah,
because you know how when she went into the cat island
yeah.
and she ended up in the former human bar,
Mm-hmm.
the one chick that was back there that I think she said something about she went through a divorce or something. I was like, "Oh my God, is that the mom?" And then I was like, "No, the
Right?
mom already showed up."
I thought that too, actually. I was like, oh, is this the mom? Is that why she's not really around much? Because she turned into a cat? But yeah, it wasn't. My next note was, why is it in a lot of anime movies, why is it the best friends always hook up? Because it was like her best friend and then his best friend and they ended up like hooking up, and that happens a lot in anime and these anime movies, and I was just like, why is that a thing? I don't think that really happens in real life. I feel like it would ruin the group dynamic, but maybe that's just me.
But look at it another way. What if they were already together and the movie just doesn't revolve around them?
Maybe. I don't know. It did seem like they were talking a little bit more. But yeah, I was just like, why is that a thing in these movies? Is like the best friends always hook up together, but not really. They're just kind of there.
Yeah.
My next my next note. I hate this main character.
I hated her so much.
She was very annoying to me, and like her whole thing is she's obsessed with this boy, and I guess the reason is because like her life is miserable. Her mom left. She hates her stepmom, blah blah blah. She's like faking she's happy, and she's like obsessed with this boy. And I was just like, I don't give a fuck.
I don't think she hated her stepmom.
She didn't hate her. She just didn't like the circumstance with her family dynamic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I don't care about her. She's so whiny, obnoxious, and like, I don't care about her at all. And I feel like her story didn't really come into play that much. Like,
Gonna be honest, I cared more and cried more over the cat.
yeah, right? The cat had more of a like character arc and story to me than the main girl.
Mhm.
She was just very annoying to me, and like I would say part of it is because like she is young. She's a middle schooler, but I mean, I don't think that that's it. I think it's just she's obnoxious, but they just kept being like, "Oh yeah, she's faking that she's happy. She's hurting inside." But like they didn't do it that well to me. Like I just did not care. And I'm like, I guess maybe. But we never really saw that struggle that much. Like she had her little breakdown where she was yelling at the stepmom, but otherwise it wasn't that bad. Like all the things that we saw really with her struggling were kind of dealt more in flashback and stuff like that. So like I don't know. I just couldn't connect with her. I didn't care about her at all. I was like, I don't care if she stays a cat. I don't care if she gets hit by a car as a cat. Like something better happen.
Wow. That's harsh.
I didn't like her. I
I
really
did
didn't
think
like
that
her.
was going to happen at one point. I was terrified that was going to happen at one point.
I was ready for it. I was like, she's gonna stay a cat. She's gonna find a way to turn back, but then she's gonna die or something. But no, nobody dies in this movie. My next note. This is when I started taking notes because I was like, I need to write about this. Her best friend ships them so hard.
Yeah.
Because the scene when she was like sobbing because he rejected the girl, I was like, she was shipping them so hard, and now her ship sank, and she's devastated about it.
Oh my god.
If I had $1 for every time they said the boy's name, I would be a billionaire. Because I kid you not, like every fucking other line out of this main character's mouth was like, Hinale, Hinale, I need him, baby, baby. Like that was literally her. Like her entire character was just saying his name a billion times. Every time, after a certain point, every time she started saying it, I was like, I need to be drinking. And it also reminded me, there was that really old school Adult Swim commercial for Inuyasha where it's just Inuyasha and Kagome screaming each other's names. Do you remember that commercial? Yeah.
Yes.
That's all I thought about.
Sidebar. Just earlier when I got lost in the Reddit hole that I told you about,
hmm
I saw a thing of, the guy shaking the fence to be let in. It
hmm
was how Inuyasha goes. Inuyasha, Kagome, Kagome, Inuyasha. Back and forth.
Yep.
It's like it's so accurate.
Right. That's all I got out of this movie was her screaming his name like every 5 seconds. And I'm like, why is she so obsessed with this boy? But yeah. My next note is, what is this movie? My next note is it over yet? Because I kept checking the damn time so much. I was like, are we close to the end yet? And I remember at one point I was like, fuck, there's still an hour left? I don't actually know what this... Oh, I do know what this note is for. It says, yeah, we're doing this.
What?
And it was for him like half turning into a cat randomly in the cat city and fighting like the whole like end climax where they're just like semi wrestling this cat trying to get her life force. I was like, what is happening right now? It was
Right.
so like dull as a quote unquote action scene to me. I don't know. I was just like, okay, can we just
The
move on?
entire movie felt like somebody was trying to take Spirited Away and make it into something else, and it was total
Yeah.
crap.
It was very similar to like Whisper of the Heart with Spirited Away to me. Probably a little bit of the cat returns because of the cat element, but I was just like, this just feels like a reject, like Studio Ghibli film, kind of.
Yeah.
My next note, insert eye roll here. My next note is Deus ex MEOWchina because all
What?
the fucking cats just showed up and like beat him up and they're like, okay, you can leave now.
I'm sorry, that's the title of this episode. Deus
Deus
Ex
ex
Machina.
machina. But yeah, they just like showed up and they're like, "What did we say about picking on children?" And then they like beat up this cat and then they just leave. And I'm like, okay, sure.
It's amazing. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna get over that for a while. Oh my god.
Oh, my next note, please kill me because he did the sunrise bullshit ass
Mm.
smack, which I knew he was going to. I was like, this movie's gonna end with him like smacking her ass with his ass, isn't it? And my last note is, oh yeah, he wanted to be a potter. I guess that was a plot in this movie. That felt so out of nowhere. Like, I get the grandpa did it and he sort of liked it, but like, I never got that that was like his dream in life was to be a potter. And then at the end, he was like, Mom, I'm gonna be a potter. And she's like, okay. And I was like, I guess that was resolved.
See, I picked that up throughout the whole thing, but I don't understand why he never said that to
Yeah,
anybody.
he never really brought it up. Like, maybe I was only paying like half attention, but it was like the family had their little like kiln shop thing that the grandpa worked at, and they were gonna lose it, and it was like a semi conflict for a bit, and the main girl, what was her name? I know they called her like Muge,
You know what?
but
It's been over a week since I watched it. I don't
oh,
remember.
yeah. I think it was Muge. I think her real name was like Mio or something. Either way, main girl. She mentioned like a few times. She was like, "He wants to be a potter. I want to see him be a potter." I'm like, when is he like? Yeah, he went to the family shop a few times, but I think he only made something like once and it failed. So it's just
No,
like,
he made a few things, and one of them she stepped in.
yeah, I remember them saying that comment, but I don't remember actually watching that. But again, I think I was like not paying much attention. But yeah, it was like, because I know I keep talking about it, but in like Whiskers of the Heart, in Whispers of the Heart, he wants to be like a violin maker. But that's like an overarching thing in the whole movie is like he talks about it and he shows her it and like you can feel that he actually wants to be it. In this, it was like such a side note where he was like, I want to be a potter. And it's like, okay. It didn't feel as genuine to me as that movie. It
Mm.
just kind of felt like it was just kind of sidelined and there and just kind of like, here, we'll give him something because his life was fine. I'm still kind of confused. Like, I don't know. His life is like he had a dead dog.
His
That
dad obviously wasn't in the picture though either.
yeah. See, I thought that Taro was the name of the dad. Like the dad died, and that was the dad's name. But then it was like, no, it's the dog. And I'm like, okay, what about the dad? And yeah, they didn't really mention the dad or anything. Which I will say this: this is probably one of the only like anime movies I can think of, or Japanese related movies, I guess, in general, where the mom just like left. I was thinking that the
Yeah.
mom was dead, and then it was like, no, she's alive. She just kind of ditched. And I kind of wish they would have touched on that a little more. Like they were
Mm.
so obsessed with her relationship with like this boy, And she was like, I want to be a cat. And then she's like, no, I want to go back because I have to tell him I love him. I have to say how much I love him. And I was like, what about your family? Like, are you learning anything? And then at the very end, she was like, oh, yeah, I have to go back and say that I like my family again. And I'm like, oh, yeah, your family.
See, the funny thing about that movie too is that when she didn't really care until she realized that she couldn't understand him anymore.
Yeah. And then she was like, oh no, how am I going to tell him I care? And how am I going to hear him say that he loves me and stuff? And it's like her whole story, her whole character was revolving around this boy, where I thought that the family dynamic was way more interesting and they didn't really do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked that she kind of started getting used to her stepmom. But even like the stepmom definitely cared about her cat way more than she cared about the stepdaughter, which I don't blame her. But like, I felt that story was even more interesting. The
I
relationship between
mean,
the stepmom and her cat.
yeah, it was her childhood cat, so of course.
Yeah. I don't know. It just I wish they had focused more on the family stuff and not this like forced middle school romance bullshit. But yeah, I don't know. It overall, I don't think I really liked the movie. I don't think I would watch it again. I don't know if I would really recommend it. But it also could have just been like I wasn't feeling like watching this movie. And I was like, it's not that great. But then I was thinking about like The Cat Returns, which I love, and I'm like, The Cat Returns isn't that great either, really. So maybe it's like a mindset thing. This is definitely something I can see why people would like it. It just wasn't my thing, really. I just had too many. I was just really annoyed with the main character, and I kept wanting it to be better than it was, I guess.
I did like the musical score though.
Oh yeah, I had great musical score. It looks beautiful. The
Yeah,
animation is gorgeous.
it was pretty, it sounded nice, but the story was shit.
Yeah, I just wanted more. And I just it wasn't there for me. I don't know. There was a lot going on, but at the same time there was only this one thing, which was her weird obsession with him. Like that was basically it, but it was like there's all this other stuff, like the stuff with her best friend, how she's like, oh yeah, we've been friends forever and stuff, and like there are little touches on that, and then yeah, the stuff with her family, and it's like there were little glimpses of really cool story elements that they just really didn't care about. It just seemed like they were kind of there.
I'm sorry, you just remind me when she throws her shoes into the bullies' faces.
Yeah, I'm still also confused about like why they hated her so much. Like I get the mom left, so they like made fun of her,
I
but
mean,
also like
they're kids. They're
her,
gonna make fun of the person that's down further than them.
I guess. But I was also expecting just some other thing. And then like they kept bringing up that they called her like Muge or something, but like I don't know what that means, and they never really said what it meant. So I was like, is that supposed to be like a derogatory term for something or what? Because like when her parents came and they're like, "Oh, they called her Muge," and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know she had it that rough." And I'm like, "What does that word mean?" Like, is anybody going to explain that word to me? Cuz I as a viewer have no clue what that word means. I've never heard that word before, and I do watch a lot of anime.
I mean, I've heard it in other animes, but yeah, I've never heard the explanation.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know what this means, but they seem very concerned that they were calling her that. The stuff with the other bullies, they just kind of vanished after a certain point.
I mean,
Like they
that was
read her letter and that was pretty much it. They mentioned them a few times where they're like, "Oh yeah, even they were worried about you." But it's like we never saw that. We never saw them again. We never saw them like apologize or anything. It was just kind of they were there to bully her and then they were never really there again.
I think they were more bullying him than her.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, they didn't really come back or anything. They mentioned a few times in scenes cuz she even mentioned like when she's like, "Oh, I have to go back and say how much I like my family and my friends." And I think she mentioned the bullies there briefly too. But yeah, it was like they never resolved anything with that. It was just kind of offhandedly resolved, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, those are kind of my thoughts on that movie. I am glad it was a movie too. When I kept seeing the thing pop up on Netflix, I was like, "Oh great, this is another like anime." and I don't want to watch a series. I just want like a movie. You watched, I can't even, what is it? Extremely Wicked.
Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile.
Yes, the Ted Bundy movie, which got a lot of criticism, which I think is stupid, but whatever.
Dude, I want to own this movie.
Yeah, it was good.
It's so good.
See, it looked really good. I just haven't gotten around to sit down and watch it, but it looked good. A lot of people were just like upset because they romanticized Ted Bundy, but it's like Ted
That's
Bundy
what he
was
was.
romanticized.
He was an attractive man.
Yeah, that was the whole shocking part about it.
I mean, Jesus. But okay, normally I freaking hate Zac Efron, okay?
I love me some Zac
I
Efron.
was never a fan of him. I never found him attractive. I never liked High School Musical. None of it. Hated him. So I was like, I can see why they picked him to be Ted Bundy. Please don't fuck this up, Zach. Because Ted Bundy is one of my favorites.
I don't know if you should admit that you have a favorite serial killer, but I know what you mean.
People that, like true crime understand. That's all that
Yes.
matters.
Yes.
But I took a few notes about this. One, because at one point they show Zach's teeth to be for the part where they take pictures of his teeth for indicting him on the murder of the girls in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So when they did that, I was like, is that his actual teeth? Because I don't remember having him such bad teeth. Zac Efron, not the character, Zac Efron. And
Yeah.
so I had to look it up. And I was like, what happened to his perfect smile that everybody fucking adores? He has porcelain veneers. And I didn't know that until I looked that up. But they used his actual top teeth because it was pretty close to Ted Bundy's, and they gave him false bottom teeth
Hmm.
for the movie. I found that to
Interesting.
be interesting
Yeah. Yeah,
because
I didn't know that.
normally I can tell when something's fake, and
Yeah.
it looked real to me. Kudos on them for doing that well. Fucking Jim Parsons cussing at one point in the movie made my freaking day.
Who did he play in the movie?
He played one of the prosecutors.
Makes sense.
It was great. I died. I had to pause the movie because it was so funny. I did really also like them showing him gearing himself up and jumping from the second story of the courthouse
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing the woman's reaction of seeing this man jumping down and her dog barking at him and him running away.
Mm-hmm.
Perfection. Her face was perfect. It's like that is a legit reaction right there, is what that is. My last note about it was because it revolves mostly around Liz, his girlfriend,
Right.
and just the progression of her from being totally happy and then sinking into this ultimate depression,
Mm-hmm.
and then the bomb being dropped of her admitting that she's the one that gave them his name. Just it's so well done. I love this movie. I
Hmm.
need to own like 5 copies of it. Holy shit.
Well, then I'll really have to watch it because, yeah, it's been on my list for a long time. I just haven't really watched it because it's a pretty long one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's pretty long, but it's not that much longer than anything else that we normally watch. Zach did a really good job acting as Ted. He studied Ted hard.
Yeah, no, he did a lot of research for it.
But I really want to find and watch because they recorded the trial.
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually watch the trial. That would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
It'd be a long ass time to watch it because it's how long the trial was.
Yeah.
But it
I
would be fun to
think
watch it.
I thought that they had the trial uploaded on Netflix.
I saw the confession tapes and stuff, but
Yeah. Mm.
oh, also the ending of the movie where she's yelling at him what happened to her head. And then as he writes out the word hacksaw in the
Mm-hmm.
dust of the window and the flashbacks of what happened
Mm-hmm.
is perfect.
Yeah,
This needs
no,
a
I
fucking award.
I did watch that scene because before we got on the call, I was reading about the movie to kind of at least know the gist of what was going on in it and stuff. And yeah, I watched that scene, and yeah, it it's pretty good.
God, I love that movie. Like, if you want to get me that movie for my birthday, do it. I would not argue.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see it. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, I know
It,
a lot of people were upset because yeah, they made it more about like him and how charming he was and stuff, and they felt it took away from like the victims, and it's like that's not really the point of this movie. It's not to do that. It's showing that this guy who everybody thought was so charming and suave and nice and stuff turned out to be this insane serial killer.
yeah, but I do love how that they give a small honor to the victims by showing their names at the end of the movie.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's good.
They don't show their pictures, which I appreciate because
Yeah.
their family doesn't need that dragged up. I'm pretty sure the families aren't even watching the movie, but still, to have at least that small honor, because I don't
Yeah.
remember that happening in My Friend Dahmer.
Yeah, no, most movies that are based on like serial killers and stuff, they don't usually do things like that for the victims and stuff. Like for Zodiac, I don't know if you've seen that one.
I love that movie.
Yeah, but they don't really do anything with the victims in that one either. That's more about the detectives though, more than anything.
Yeah.
It barely really touches on the Zodiac killer.
The podcast that I listened to that you refused to listen to, My Favorite Murder.
Alrighty.
Um, I love that podcast so much. They talk about the Zodiac movie and how it actually painted the detective in a positive light.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the family members of that actual detective was like, no, he was on site when they were making that movie.
Hmm.
And like his little quirks of having the animal crackers and stuff like that in the car are
Mm-hmm.
things that he actually did. That wasn't something they made up. That was what he actually
Yeah,
did.
no, they were like spot on with the details for that movie. It's actually kind of terrifying how like
hmm
they had all the clothes down, they had positions down, they had like makes and models of the vehicle. Like they did so much research to get it like as exact as you could possibly get. It's actually kind of scary.
Yeah. I love it when movies and even musicals, see a little transition I did there to my next topic,
Mm-hmm.
of when they actually do factual things to where you are learning about history, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
So, moving right along, I also watched Hamilton. It's so good, Corey.
I have zero interest in ever touching that.
It's so good.
I'll take your word for it.
I cried so much.
I have zero interest in it. I've seen lots of good things, lots of overhyped things, lots and lots of bad controversial things. I
Oh,
just don't
I
care.
haven't seen anything bad, controversial things.
Yeah, there's a lot with like just, how they completely ignored like the slave issue.
They
They're like,
did
yeah,
touch on it, but it wasn't really.
yeah, they were like, yeah, it's like sort of kind of there, but you just basically brushed the whole slavery thing under the rug and didn't acknowledge it at all, which like,
Especially right
he
now.
yeah, that's basically what it is. But he was like, well, yeah, it's fitting like 6 years of history in a 2.5 hour long musical. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I can't put every single thing in there. Yeah, that's just what I've read. I've never seen it. No interest. I don't even know what it's about. So,
It's about Hamilton,
well, I
and
understand it's about
you
Hamilton, but I
hate
don't know
it.
anything about Hamilton. So,
Well, that's because you haven't seen the musical. Because to be fair, I don't know anything about Hamilton, and then I watched the musical, and I was like, really? That's how that came about? Really? And then I looked it up, and it was true, and I was like, oh shit. He's
yeah.
why we have the stock market.
I did not watch Hamilton. I watched As Above, So Below.
What is that?
It's a found footage movie about this chick who's looking for the Philosopher's Stone. They go to the Paris catacombs. They get lost. They go to hell. Basically, the movie. Don't really care. Wasn't a good movie, but it did. It did make me think about found footage movies and how much they really bug me
Why?
because they're so unrealistic to me. I'm sorry, if I'm down in the Paris catacombs, hopelessly lost, and I find a portal to hell, I'm not going to be carrying around a video camera. I'm sorry. I'm just not. And then let's like people die in movies with the found footage and they're like holding the camera and they die and they drop the camera and somebody always comes back and picks up the camera and takes it with them. So us as a viewer, obviously we can keep watching it. But I'm like, how unrealistic is that?
I think it's more realistic, like in the Blair Witch Project, when he only finds the camera, doesn't find the body.
Yeah. There are some ways it works, but it's just like I was thinking about like Cloverfield.
I never watched that movie.
Yeah, well at the end there's the giant monster. The guy and his two friends are like running in a field or something. It's been a long time since I've watched this, but like this part really bugged me. The monster comes down, eats the guy, the camera drops, the monster is still there, and the two fucking friends run over, pick up the camera, and then proceed to run. I'm like, if a monster literally is standing over you and just ate your friend, I would not go back for the fucking camera. I just
Yeah.
wouldn't do that. And that happens a lot in horror film found footage movies, which I guess there really is only like horror film found footage. You don't really see a comedy found footage movie very often. But yeah, like I really don't like found footage. Like sometimes it can work. Sometimes it can work. They always have those parts in the found footage thing where it's just like the people like behind the scenes being like, "Oh, are you recording?" and stuff. And it's like, if I was really editing this, I would have cut that part out. I also hate it in found footage films when they switch between multiple cameras, and I'm like, how are you doing that with one camera?
Was it you and I that went and watched the one in theaters about the video chat?
No. Are you talking about Unfriended?
Yeah.
I actually kind of like those movies. They are very impractical at times, but yeah, there's a few times in that, but that's a little more realistic, I suppose, because it's like the computer webcam or whatever.
I can't watch because the background and ugh. When
Yeah.
you can't see behind somebody because it's pitch black,
Yeah.
can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't.
The movie's got some stuff in it, but I like that one. I don't like it when that one doesn't do it as much, but I hate when it is a movie and they're doing the found footage like through the computer and it's just them like picking up the computer and carrying it with them and I'm like, "Okay, come on. Picking up the camera is one thing, but carrying a laptop around while shit is happening, like no, you're not doing it." And I guess some people will argue like, "Oh, a bunch of scary shit is happening. Of course you want to film it." And I'm like, "No. No, I would not. I would be if I saw a fucking monster coming at me, I am not worrying about this camera so I can sell the footage somewhere. Like, no." Which is also why like the found footage YouTube videos are so like they're such bullshit. They always get recommended to me on YouTube where it's just like the top 10 scariest found footage things and it's always like shaky. It's always
Uh-huh.
staticky and noisy. It's always like bullshit stuff that I'm just like, we're in the year 2020. You're telling me somebody doesn't have a good enough camera to record this thing out in the woods? But, that's just me, I suppose.
It needs to be more realistic. They need to be recording with their camera and not horizontally, but vertically, like every dumb shit does during Black
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah,
Mm.
found footage movies, man. They just,
I
because I
want to
just think it's
rewatch
bullshit.
the paranormal movies.
The paranormal activity movies?
Yeah.
What about them?
I want to rewatch them.
We used to rewatch them every Halloween. It was mine and Fifi's tradition to order pizza and watch all of them. And the last 2 years we haven't because we finally got sick of them. Because what we would do is originally we would watch them all, but now there's 7 of them, 6 of them.
Oh my god, I've only seen 2 of them, so
Oh yeah, no, there's 6 of them, I believe, because there's one, two, three. Fourth is the good one. There's the fifth one, which is the marked one. Okay, yeah, there's 6 of them, I believe. So yeah, after a certain point, we just started watching them from like 3 up. But even that got really boring after a while. The fourth one's the only one that I really, really like because the characters were actually believable and kind of decent. Story was stupid, but you know,
I don't even remember which one it was I saw in theaters.
describe it.
Uh, the only part I remember is when they go down into the basement.
Let's see. The first one, there's no basement. The first one's just the 2 of them. The second one has the baby. The third one is the prequel, where it's the 2 girls. The fourth one is the one with the Connect and the 2 little boys and the teenage girl. The fifth one's probably the one you're thinking of because that's the one I can think of where there's a basement. And that one's with I believe they're Mexican teenager
Which one was the one
boys.
that had the pool?
That was more prominently the second one.
Okay, then the second one is the one I saw in theaters.
Okay. Yeah, the second one's the only one I can remember that had a pool.
And I remember the automatic cleaner or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's the second one, which I think is probably the most boring one of the series.
I mean, I spent half a movie covering my face buried into Clint's arm, but sure.
Nothing even happens in this. The thing with
It's
the
the
paranormal
suspense
activity
of it all.
movies is nothing even happens until the last like 10 minutes and then shit hits the fan.
For me, it's the suspense of it all where I'm just like, no, 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 don't do that. Why, don't, no,
See,
I
then
can't
you
look.
would really like the fourth one because the fourth one has a lot more suspenseful moments. Again, not a lot happens until the last like 10 minutes, but there's a lot more, yeah, suspense in that one. Even the third one has a lot of good suspenseful moments too.
Can we please talk about how stupid people are in horror movies?
I mean, they are very stupid.
If you hear a noise and some shit's going on, don't go investigate the noise.
Yeah, every time there's like a horror movie and there's a noise and they just like immediately go and check, I'm just like, uh-uh. Like, granted, when I do hear noises here, depending on what kind of noise it is, really, but I'll be like, what was that? And I'll like kind of cautiously check. But again, if it's like a loud bang or something, a Tyrannosaurus roar, I'm not going to go check. I'm fucking staying in my room where it's supposedly safe.
No, if I hear something weird, first I look to see if the cats are with me.
Mm-hmm.
And if they aren't, I'm going to be like, probably the cats, but grabs phone, grabs something sharp,
Yeah.
hover phone over 911.
Right? I know. And then, like, because I live alone. So I'm like, I constantly am like, kind of scared about that. There are times when I'm playing Beat Saber and I have my VR headset on. And I'm like, somebody could break into my house right now and I would have no idea.
That's why I wanted to do that to you when I went to go visit.
Because, yeah, there are times I think about just like taking off my headset and somebody being there. Kind of scary, but you know.
John Wayne Gacy is there.
No.
Creepy ass smile.
I saw something recently about him. I didn't watch it. It was like I was scrolling through Facebook and there was like a video or something about him. And I was just like, I'm good not watching that.
Whenever his name comes up, I'm just like, okay, is Clint around? No. Okay, I can watch it. Is Clint around? Yes. Save this for later.
Right. Yeah, I saw it and almost posted. I can't remember. I think it was just a video about him, but I almost was going to post it on your Facebook to be like, she can watch it or I'll watch it later on her thing. And I was like, no, I can't do that.
You can do
Clint
it
might
if you
see it.
hide it from Clint. Because if you don't do the hide from so and so thing, gonna
Oh,
have to
yeah.
beat you.
Yeah, I forgot about that. What other things have you been watching?
The only thing that I've been watching, Ray Zero season 2 finally started.
Mm.
So, have you heard or anything about Ray Zero yourself?
I literally know nothing about that show. I
Okay,
know what some of the characters look like.
so
That's it.
Subaru is this guy who somehow stumbles into another world.
Mm-hmm.
It's never expressly said how it's happened. It might say it in the manga or the light novel, but I'm not there yet, so who knows? But he stumbles across, he runs into Amelia, the ninja that you have, and she's a half elf, I think. Yeah, half elf.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he falls madly in love with her at first sight. He wants to do anything he can for her. But things keep fucking up, and somebody either dies or some terrible things happens, and he either ends up getting killed himself or killing himself to reset, like you do in a video game.
Okay.
So, like, you go back to your last save point, is what the whole series basically partakes of. So, it follows him doing that. You eventually meet Ram, Beatrice, yada, 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 all the other characters. So, you go through the whole first series, which I enjoy. There are times where you're like, oh, it's so good. And then somebody dies, and you're like, shit, you have to go through that whole thing again. So, that's how the whole first season goes. And season two picks up right at the end of the first season where they killed this giant thing and they're on their way back returning with its head or body, I guess, to like prove that they killed this giant beast. It's been a while since I watched season one. Don't quote me. So so it's at the end of that and Subaru is in the cart with Emilia and Rem has confessed her love to him and he's like telling Amelia, I just need you to know, just like I confessed my love to you, that Rem did that to me. And Amelia looks at him and she goes, Subaru, who is Rem?
Hmm.
And you're just sitting there like, fuck, we have to do this all over again. So it gets to him trying to find out where Rem is because she was in a different cart, like way ahead of the rest of the troop. Um, because it's like a whole Oregon Trail shit thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so he finds her. Nobody can remember her name, only he can. And so he grabs a broken sword that's nearby and he kills himself to try to go back and save her. But it puts him right back to where Amelia is asking who Rem is.
Oh.
And so I guess season two, I don't know how much of it, because again, I haven't read that far, is going to be him trying to get Rem's. Because what happened was her name and her memories were taken by these people that she ran into.
Hmm.
So the whole season, maybe, or at least part of the season, is going to be him trying to get her name and memories back.
Interesting.
Because he can't return by death to do it.
Mm-hmm. It sounds good.
It's really good. I really wish that you watched anime so that I could watch it with you, but
Yeah, I don't do that.
at least I have somebody to watch it with in my Nindroid group.
There you go. I was actually wanting to rewatch Free the other day. I can't remember why, but I was like, it's summer. Oh, I think it was because I was playing Animal Crossing and I was like swimming and I was like free.
I don't know what it is, but I hate sports anime.
Normally I do too. I don't really like the more like mundane life anime. I just get really bored with it. So like the sports, Lucky Star, could not stand Lucky Star.
I mean, the first episode of Lucky Star is literally them talking about food, so.
I know. That's like I watched the first episode and I was like, what the fuck is this?
But didn't you like Asumanga Daioh?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No, I couldn't stand it. I read it all. I never watched it, but I read it all because my cousin had it and he was obsessed with it, so he would give me the books and I would just like read them to kind of know what the hell he was talking about, but like I did not like it. I also didn't like it because it was like in short comic strip form. It wasn't really like a manga.
Mm.
But no, I did not like Azumanga Daioh.
I mean, Lucky Star is written the same way.
Is it? See, I've never looked at the Lucky Star manga.
That's why you don't like Lucky Star.
That's probably it. See, I liked Haruhi. But even that's pretty borderline to me.
Is that why you didn't read all of Gakuchan?
Oh, I didn't read any of that.
Even though I let you borrow it for a while?
I think I skimmed over it, but yeah, I don't really like those kind of manga anime kind of things. They get way too boring to me. But
Mm,
I also, if I'm going to waste several hours of my life on a series or something, I want it to be something really, really good.
I see.
So, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I have time. I get really bored watching things like that. And it's not even just like anime either. It's like any TV shows like that too. I don't really like those kind of things that much.
So that's how I get with games. If they can't grab my attention,
Hmm.
I never finish them.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if it can't grab me in the first episode and I'm not invested enough in the characters and story, then like I won't bother keep going.
See, that's why I like Ray Zero, because it literally starts with somebody dying.
Yeah, that is fun. Yeah, I'm really bad about that kind of thing. Same for books. If a book can't get my attention in the first like page or two, then I just won't read it.
See, if I don't end up finding myself lost in reality when I
Yeah.
read a book, it's not a good book.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I've read some books that are kind of mundane, but if the characters are good enough, then I'm okay with it. But book-wise, book-wise, I mostly just read fantasies.
Corey, I'm
Or I read
excited.
fantasies or like dystopian novels. That's pretty much it.
I'm excited because do you know what book I literally just picked up?
No,
The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule.
I don't know what that is.
It's the Ted Bundy storybook.
Oh,
I'm so excited.
yes. Yeah, one of my favorite book series that finished a couple years ago is continuing again starting next year, and I'm real excited about it.
What series?
The Iron Fae series.
I think you've
There,
told me about that, but I never looked into it.
yeah, I've got all of them. There's 4 books in the original one. There's 3 in the sequel series. There's a couple short stories, and then now they're getting another one, which I'm very excited about because it's about Puck, and I love me some Puck. Yeah, if you ever want it, I'm gonna rebuy the books because they just came out with a 10-year anniversary cover version, so I'm gonna buy those.
I can try reading it.
I need to reread them because I it's been so long since I've read them.
Know what I want to reread?
No.
Kane's Blood.
Yeah,
So
I knew you were gonna
good.
say that.
So good.
I know, I really want to reread that also.
We should do that together.
We should. I'd be down.
Do you want to reread Project Kane or Kane's Blood first?
I always forget which is which. Project Cain is the good one.
Project Kane is the hit following just him.
Yeah, that's the good one.
Okay. So let's do this then. Let's both read, I guess, how many chapters do you want to read before next week? Do you want to do chapter by chapter or a handful of chapters?
Let's do like 3 chapters because if I remember, it's a fairly short. I feel like,
The chapter's really short, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say they're fairly short, so let's do 5. 5 is a good number.
Okay. So let's both read and take notes this time
Okay,
because we both know how it ends.
we do.
Um,
It's been a long time since I've read it. I don't honestly remember much about it anymore. So,
so let's have the first 5 chapters be part of our topic for next week.
okay. And anybody listening is probably like, what are they talking about? They'll find out next week.
Project Kane, if you can get your hands on it, because Amazon's a thing,
Mm.
uh, before next week and read the first 5 chapters. Do
Highly
it.
recommend, especially if you're into true crime slash serial killer,
True climb.
true crime slash serial killer things. The basic premise is about this Project Cain, where the government basically cloned a bunch of serial killers to see if the whole nurture versus nature debate is a thing or not. And you follow, well, in Project Cain, you follow one of the clones of Jeffrey Dahmer around. And that's all I'm really going to say about it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
because you really should read Project Kane before you read Kane's Blood, if you're going to
Yes.
read them.
And just to summarize those books, Project Cain is from Jeff's point of view and it's his journey, and Kane's Blood is a little more third person overarching because there's a lot going on in this story. And in Kane's Blood, you do get some stuff with Jeff, and I can't even remember is who was his friend who was with him? Cass? No.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he's traveling with somebody. And so in Kane's Blood, you get more insight on his partner, you get more insight on the other serial killers, the doctors, like you get more of the world, I guess.
More of the other
Whereas
characters. Yeah.
yeah, whereas Project Kane is strictly first person point of view from Jeff, which I really liked it. I really liked being in his head.
Being inside of the other boys' heads are not fun.
See, and they say Project Kane is a young adult novel, which I guess it is, and Kane's Blood is more adult rated. So when I got that one, I thought it was going to be full of a lot worse than it actually was. Like I specifically remember the scene where they
Don't.
yeah, okay. They do some bad stuff, but
I
they
know what
cut
scene you're talking about just from the way you're talking, but don't.
they basically cut to black before it really got that bad. But I mean, I guess you're supposed to let your imagination do the work. But anyway, I highly recommend Project Kane. Even if you are a little like squeamish to those things, it's not that bad because again, it is for younger readers. And yeah, it's really good.
Well, thank you oh so very much for listening in. If you are interested in anything that we've talked about, please go watch or read it. Definitely pick up some of the things that we enjoyed. Maybe look at other things that we hated and you enjoy, and then leave us an angry comment in the comment section if that's what your thrill is, I guess.
Yeah,
But
if you
otherwise,
really, really liked A Whisker Away and you think I'm just full of shit for hating it, go ahead and tell me.
I mean, you have to realize that she's all about editing and stories, and I'm all about art and costumes. So let's duke them out.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
thank you so much again, and we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully, 5 chapters later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.